Hi, welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video, we're going to learn the 2 to 4 player game Mad Science Foundation, designed by Sharang Biswa and Max Seidman and published by Cryptozoic Entertainment. As a misunderstood and possibly misguided mad genius, you've finally gained access to the resources you need to power your crazed inventions. Unfortunately, so have the other mad scientists, so you'll need to make the right choices under the guise of sharing equally so that you can accomplish world domination first. So join me at the table and let's learn how to play. To set up, shuffle these quirk cards, dealing one face down to each of the players. You can look at your own, but don't show anyone else. Then these headquarters cards are shuffled and one is dealt face up, but sideways, to each of the players. Take note of the symbol here on your headquarters and find the matching token. This is placed beside the infamy track, which should also be set nearby. This is the resource deck. From it, find the overworked researcher and set it aside for now, shuffling the rest into a face-down pile. These are the invention cards. Based on the number of players, you'll make some adjustments to them. If you have 2 players, return to the box all inventions labeled for 3 and 4 players. If you have 3 players, only remove the ones labeled with a 4. If you have 4 players, no inventions are removed. In this video, we're setting up for a 3-player game, so these will be returned to the box, and the remaining cards are shuffled into a face-down deck. In a 2-player game, you'll also return the overworked researcher to the box. But with 4 players, it starts face up beside the invention deck. And with 3 players, as I'm setting up here, it goes to the bottom of the resource deck. Beside the infamy track, place these 3 standees, and to the oldest player, give the crooked director standee. And that's the setup. In Mad Science Foundation, players will take turns dividing up inventions and various resources, which all players will choose from, to power their wild and wacky inventions, all in a quest to become the most infamous mad scientist. The game is played over a series of rounds that are divided into 2 phases, starting with resource awarding. In this phase, the player with the director standee now draws and reveals 1 invention, or 2 if the overworked researcher is active. In a 4-player game, it starts in play, but not with 3 players as we have here. Then they also reveal a number of resources equal to the number of players plus 1. So in this 3-player game, we'd reveal 4. This deck is made up of 15 kryptonium, 12 lasers, 9 dark matter, and 6 sharks, along with a couple other types of cards. Anytime you draw one of the minion cards matching these standees, immediately set its card to the side as a reminder of its ability, then place its standee into the center of the play area and draw a replacement resource. In this way, in every round, there will always be a number of resources equal to the number of players plus 1. Now the player controlling the director must divide all of the revealed cards and standees in the center of the table into a number of piles equal to the number of players. And they can do this however they like, dividing things very evenly, or perhaps creating a pile with lots of different stuff. The only restriction is that there must be something in each of the piles. Now starting with the scientist to the left of the director and continuing clockwise, each player chooses one of the piles to collect. And this means that the player who made the piles will get last choice. So that will definitely factor into their decision about how to split the piles initially. Any player who collected an invention must rotate it sideways, like their headquarters here. This means they're considered prototypes, and it reminds us that they're not fully built yet and can't be used for their effects. All collected resources are also public knowledge, so ensure they're always visible. Then, after the piles have been collected, it's time for the second phase, experimentation. Starting with the player who controls the director and continuing clockwise, players take turns fully resolving this phase by performing any of the following 2 actions in any order. One action you can take is to construct a prototype invention that you have in front of you by discarding the resource cards shown here from your personal collection. Let's pretend for a moment that this player also had a couple of lasers. They could then discard these 2 cards as an action to construct the invisible suburban laboratory. Discarded resources go to a shared discard pile. Once constructed, the invention is turned upright to show that it's complete. However, at most, you may only construct a single prototype per turn. The other action you may take is to activate an invention by pressing a button on one you've constructed and then resolving its ability, which is listed here. On your turn, you can press any number of your constructed inventions in any order, but each one, at most, may only be activated once per turn. Some inventions may have a condition you need to satisfy before you can activate them. For example, here we're told we need to spend a laser resource and then we can gain 2 infamy, which we could do by discarding this, pressing the button, and then gaining 2 points. Some may require that you have control of the director to activate them, and if they allow you to gain a resource from the discard pile, as this one does, and that resource isn't there, then you simply don't get it. You may also notice that some inventions will have a symbol here, and these represent certain categories that can provide you with benefits from other cards. This symbol signifies that this invention has a one-time use effect. After you activate it, it's then discarded. After all players have had a turn taking their experimentation actions, the player with the director standee passes it to the left and a new round begins. Any minions that have been collected in the previous round are then placed in the center of the table, where they'll be assigned to new piles. In this way, minions will always be distributed in every future round once they've been revealed. With that in mind, let's take a look at how minions work. The player who gains the Sassy AI immediately gains 2 infamy. If you have the Truckload O Cash, you can spend it as any one resource during that round. If you have the Spy, then before any players start the experimentation phase, you first immediately place the Spy on any prototype or completed invention. If it's a prototype, then the controlling player cannot build it this turn. If it's a completed invention, then its player cannot activate it. Once the Crooked Director is revealed as a card from the resource pile, then its standee is no longer passed to the left at the end of each round. Instead, it now immediately goes to the center, like all other minions, to be divided up into the piles. The player that acquires it during the resource awarding phase then immediately becomes the first player for that experimentation phase. And even though the director will go back to the center of the table at the end of the round, the player that last had it is still responsible for drawing and creating the piles to be chosen during the next round. I should also mention that if the resource deck ever runs out and you need to draw more cards, shuffle the discarded resources to create a new deck and then keep drawing. In a 3-player game, the last card of the deck will be the Overworked Researcher. As soon as this is revealed, place it beside the Invention deck as a reminder that for all future rounds, you'll draw 2 inventions during Phase 1. As soon as the Invention deck runs out, you'll complete that round, and then the game is over. Players now reveal their quirks and then gain any bonus infamy based on its effect. For example, the Mastermind says that you'll gain an additional 4 infamy for every Mastermind invention that you have constructed. The player with the most infamy wins the game. If there's a tie, the tied players share the victory. And that's everything you need to know to play Mad Science Foundation. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.